right, Sissy Brown, tell them who we got in the studio today.
We have mental wholeness specialist Dr. Bettna Robinson.
Hey,
what's up, ladies?
She's back.
Thanking for coming back.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I think that this is needed right now, just with everything that's going on. We actually had 2 local people in the last couple of weeks that committed suicide, and everyone's like, depression is real and all that stuff. Not knowing if that's the reason that they did it, but I'm sure that was somewhere in there. So we thank you for being here. If you could just give us a little rundown about your background.
I have a master's degree in marriage and family therapy with licensure, and also a doctorate degree in leadership and organizational structure, both from Trevecca Nazarene, and I have a master's degree from Tennessee State University.
All right.
All right, guys. So we got the good doctor up in here today. All right, so it's time to get your mental wholeness questions, mental health questions asked.
I like that, mental wholeness.
Today.
Mental wholeness.
All right, and it's been a whole lot of other things having, of course, all these mass shootings and what have you. So having somebody to kind of sort things out a little bit for us is always helpful. So hit us up if you have your question. Please don't hold back, and especially if you're going through something you've been thinking, things a little left to center, what have you. Have somebody help you navigate through it, and we'll also be giving her you guys her number, so you can call her, on your leisure if you want to do that as well. So we're giving that information out as well. But before we do anything else, we got to go to get a quick question, and then we'll come back and get an answer from the doctor here real shortly.
What is the best way to approach someone that's going through depression or anxiety or just some type of mental thoughts and things that they may be going through?
All right, so stick around. We're going to get that question answered because you may have that same question. We'll get into it right here. It is Wednesday, so we always get that free game on Wednesday.
That's right.
You better get it right now. 737-9292.
What is the best way to approach someone that's going through depression or anxiety or just some type of mental thoughts and things that they may be going through?
That's a pretty good one, especially if you know somebody that's close to you and you like, how do I approach that? So how do you do that, Doc?
Well, the first thing you want to do is acknowledge. I mean, you're in close contact with that person. So you need to actually really pay attention to their conversation. Has their conversation changed any? Is there a conversation about suicide? Or I don't want to live anymore. I can't find any hope. So you want to pay attention to that. Then you want to look at behaviors. Have they gone into like a recluse state to where they're not wanting to share? If you go into the room and it's real dark and black and they've closed all the curtains so they don't want to get out. You want to see if anything has changed in their lives recently. Like, have there been any traumas? Has something happened on the job or whatever that's put them in this state? And once you kind of look at that and figure it out, your main thing to do is start encouraging them to get help, become a support system for them.
So what if they say, I don't need no help? What are you talking about?
Just keep saying, yes, you do, because I've noticed this. And sometimes they can get so deep into depression or so deep into their state that they may not even know that their moods have changed. But for you, as a person who's watching this, it's important that you become active in their lives. Encourage them to get out of the room. Encourage them to start engaging. Go with them to the doctor. And if all else failed, contact a doctor and say, hey, this is what's going on. I need to get some help. And someone will give you the advice as to who to contact.
I was going to say, because, some people may need help beyond what I can do,
Exactly.
Because, when you get somebody in that kind of a depressive state, I mean, I can have all the empathy and sympathy that I want, but, I'm like, how do I get them to the next person?
Yeah.
To hand them off to them, and if for lack of better words, and say, hey, you need some real help.
Yeah.
And
that is about being proactive for them and saying, hey, I'm going to make this appointment. I'm going to go with you because these are the things that I've noticed that have changed, and you're totally not yourself. And a lot of times they want you to acknowledge that. People who are in that state of mind really, they won't ask for help, but they give you all the signs.
They want you to help.
Pick up on it so that you can actually become proactive for them.
Okay.
And assist. Yeah.
All right, guys. So if you got some of that going on in your life, hopefully that helped your question. But if you got some of that going on, that's good to know. They want to be helped.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they're giving you breadcrumbs.
Yes.
To help you kind of get them to where they need to be. So hit us up if you got those questions. 737-9292. We're talking mental health, and we have to because in our community, for some reason, everybody thinks they're Teflon. And they can do everything and jump over moons and what have you. You can't, and sometimes it's too much for everybody, and you need some help. So hopefully this can kind of open up some dialogue. And if you want to get real with it, definitely we have a doctor on the team to help us navigate through that, because I know I don't know.
I don't either, but mental wholeness specialist Dr. Bettna Robinson
know.
does.
All right,
so
hit us
y'all
up.
need to call.
737-9292 and get your questions answered today.
So we all know that there is a huge issue with the lack of mental health treatment within the African American community. A lot of times we think there's nothing wrong with us, and so we do not seek help for our mental health issues. Then at the same token, when our children are sent off to school and are diagnosed with ADHD, ADD, anxiety, different things like that, the first thing that we say is that they were misdiagnosed. So how do we combat that, or I guess how do we know when our children are being misdiagnosed, or if we're just in denial that our children may really have a mental health issue that we need to address?
Good question.
Well, one of the things that we have to realize is that there are cases where your child may be suffering from ADHD or, some kind of behavioral problem. One of the greatest things that you can do is always, if you have a trusted physician that you take your child to, make sure that you tell them what's going on. Now, to get a clinical diagnosis, of course, you need to probably go to like a psychiatrist to be able to run the necessary test on them. And a lot of times it's behavioral test. If you go to your primary doctors, they're going to draw blood to make sure if there's any chemical levels is off with your child. And then you as the parent, when the behavior is off. I mean, we as mothers, we know when your child is just behaving, misbehaving, or if your child is really going through some things. So the thing is that you need to consult your community, your physicians, your primary care physicians, your pediatricians, your counselors at school. Are there outbursts in schools that's going on, your teachers and things like that? I would be careful though to immediately put them on medication, because it's one of the things that they always do. Make sure that you do your due diligence to research, even for yourselves. I know people say don't Google a lot, but a lot of times you can
Google
go to
great.
like WebMD, or you can go to what's the one in Minnesota?
Something. I know what you're talking about.
So they're
I need to
really
look that up.
reliable places that you can go online to find just like baseline behaviors to certain things. And then from that point on, you want to consult your physicians. I mean, the one who actually looks after your child. Report to your physicians what's going on.
So when they go to get their physical checkups or whatever, let the PCP
just trust
know
your
what's going
doctors
on
that. And then, if it's required, if you have to get a second opinion, do that as well. But don't just say, nothing's wrong with my child. Because even if a person's being bullied at school, that can actually trigger some things in your child as well, especially if they're mentally or emotionally not able to handle that. So just do your due diligence, spend time with your children, talk to them, ask them questions, what's bothering them.
Okay. All right, I got one more question. I got one more question before we play this song. Hold on.
What are the different types of mental health professionals, and how do someone go about finding the right doctor for them?
So how do you go about finding the right doc for your situation? What are the different types of mental health professionals?
Oh, wow. You have psychologists, you have psychiatrists. Now, the difference between a psychologist and a psychiatrist. A psychologist is one, much like a therapist, can come and give you tips and tools to actually handle different things in your life. A psychiatrist does the same. They can prescribe medicines. And that's pretty much. And they can also do extensive diagnoses.
So
that is the problem.
Psychiatrists, they're the ones that issue medicine.
They give you medicines, and they can do all types of psychological testing, behavior testing, and to be able to diagnose you clinically of what's going on. Now, your psychologists and therapists, we can look at your behaviors and kind of give you an idea that this is what's going on. But if you want a clinical diagnosis, you need to go see a psychiatrist.
So do you refer?
We refer
to the
absolutely.
All right, guys.
And we work hand in hand with those doctors.
We're asking the expert. You better get your question in before we wrap things up right now. 737-9292.
Yes, I have a question. Okay, I know a person who's close to me. They have mental illness, and the person who's taking care of her suggests that she sign up for disability, just seeking she gets some type of assistance financially. But she doesn't want to. She wants to try to work, but she can't keep a job because of her condition. Is there any assistance for the lady who needs help, the person that that needs help as far as financial wise? Is there like somewhere that she can go to and she says she doesn't want help from from assistance, But honestly,
She
if
needs
we
it.
can talk to her, can we just, there's somewhere we can go to. That's the thing. We don't know where to go to.
All right, doctor, what do you think about that one?
I would think mental health co-op. I think with the state of Tennessee is a good place to go.
Mental health co-op.
Also, your mental health facilities is a good place to go to get assistance. As far as the disabilities is concerned, sometimes it's really hard to prove, especially if the person is functional, if they're able to hold a job, if they're able to do some kind of work to maintain themselves. So I would say another place to go is to talk to your primary care physician to see where they can refer as well. But I think mental health co-op is a good place to go.
All right.
A good place to start.
Mental health co-op be a good place to start for you. 92Q, what's up?
Yes, I want to know, how do you tell if your child is ADHD or bipolar? Because I think my son is being misdiagnosed. I just need to know, how do I find out that information?
What's the difference between ADHD and bipolar?
ADHD is pretty much where a person is really hyperactive. It's like they can't sit still, low attention, always moving. Bipolarism is like a firing off in the brain, where it's a real serious kind of depression. Usually both of them, sometimes you have one without the other. They kind of go hand in hand. But as far as diagnosing it, you would go through the same. Your psychologist or psychiatrist will be able to diagnose that. And it's both of them are treated with medicines. The thing you want to make sure is that if you get medicines, that you don't want to become too flat, because there's some medicines that can make you like a zombie.
Right. I've seen some people.
So
with that.
if you're on medication and it's like you're unable to respond actively and you're just flat, then you may want to go back to your physician because the dosage may be too low.
All right, guys. You've been asking the expert this morning. Give her information, too, because I know some people are going to be wanting to call and they want to talk to her directly, maybe not want to be on the air. What's that number, sis?
Dr. Bettna Robinson, 615-400-6162. That's 615-400-6162. If you want to go on her website, it's firststepcounseling.net.
First Step Counseling. All the way exactly is the way it's spelled.
Yes.
All right. .net. So go to the website and get you some assistance. We're glad you were able to stop in and help us a little bit. I know some people got something out of that one.
Absolutely.
And we're going to have to try to do this a little more frequently because mental health is it's devastating our community silently.
Yes.
Silently.
Yes.
So we want to make sure that we put a spotlight on it. And you're not alone. You can get some help. Even you turn on your little local radio show and get some assistance with
Call
this.
Dr.
All right?
Robinson. She can help you.
Give her a call. Thank you, doctor, for stopping by.
Thank you
Thank you for
We
having me.
appreciate
See you next time.
Thank you.
I'll be ready.
All right.